I have the Skoda, I have a screwdriver. Can only mean one thing. That dashboard is coming out again. Right, there we go again. So we managed to clock up 93 miles in the course of doing about 300 miles. We shall have the whole lot apart inside, which at least means we can go in the warmth. You'll have to excuse the fact I've got a computer humming away. It's uploading a video at the moment, but you can see the problem. Problem is that that gear there, the silver one, is spinning on that shaft again. So when the shaft goes round, oh, I've got to work out how to drive that shaft now. I need to take that off because I'm trying to turn this, which is trying to turn the entire cable. So if I just whip this off, then it'll be free rolling. Or I can even just disengage the gear by loosening that screw so I can push it out of the way. So now I should be able to turn that, and yeah, you can see the problem there. Sometimes that goes around and sometimes it doesn't. So this still being not attached to that shaft is the problem. And there were people talking about various options for how to make this good again, but the biggest problem here is, you know, applying glue or something. I haven't got much space to play with because this long bar that I'm turning here goes through all these numbers and then it peaks out this side here. So I think my only options are to pull this out just a bit until I can get this silver gear out, apply some glue to the inside of that shaft, and then put it together and then just leave it alone, which I think my problem was last time. I was too eager to have a play and see if I could make it work again. So I'm going to have a go at doing that right now. Right, so that was mission accomplished. I've got the problematic cog out, so this relies on that having an interference fit on that shaft, and clearly it has failed at some point, and I guess as that shaft keeps turning and this cog doesn't, then it's just got worse and worse and eroded it away. And there we go, we've reset it at 300 this time, and it's all back together. There's glue on the inside of this silver wheel, which will hopefully hold it to the shaft, and hopefully the bit I've wiped off will stop that shaft seizing, although I suspect the turning force on there is greater than that anyway and will break it even if it has tried sticking. Now we will leave that well alone until tomorrow. Okay, so my plan to wash cars can sod off for the moment. So we'll get back to mucking about with bits of odometer, and I've left this overnight, and I'm now very hopeful that if I turn this cog, everything will start working again. Oh no, no. No joy. Right, I'm going to have to find something better for bonding this sodding cog to the shaft. Right, so I've pulled the shaft out completely now, and you may be able to see that there's definite wear marks where that cog has just been spinning on the shaft. So I mean, it's just an interference fit, but it's getting a bit more difficult now. I've got glue on it. Nonetheless, that fit just isn't quite good enough. Yeah, it's spinning very easily. Well, most of the length of it, to be honest. So this is a tricky one to solve because I don't think you saw any of that. But yeah, it's how I get that. I need that about there bonded to the shaft, but I've got to be able to install it as well because it goes through this row of numbers which are currently just resting in there. So that bottom row, which is normally the top row, but I'm not inclined to turn it around just now. Yeah, I don't know how to make that work. It's going to be a challenge. I'm going to just stick this cocktail stick in to try and keep the numbers from falling out completely. There we go, I've got my cocktail stick going through, and that's important because I can chase the stick through with this. Once I've taken that cog off the end, I can then insert that, chase the stick through, and hopefully everything remains in place. But yeah, nonetheless, I've still got the issue of what I do about this sodding cog. Now I could just replace the entire odometer unit, or even the complete speedo. Maybe that'll even get my temperature gauge working. But that just feels like defeatism, and I would like to try and find a solution to this if I can. So I'm going to experiment with a few things today. Right, so one thing to try is just trying to take the circularity out of this. So I've just smacked the shaft in the right place a couple of times. You'll never see the detail because it hasn't got a macro mode. But we've now got a couple of gouges which might act like keys. So the keys in the transmission of the Invercar, where you've got a slice of metal to hold the cog to a round shaft. Maybe it'll work like that. So I'll have a go at reassembling. I'll try and find my way in with a cocktail stick, and there we go. So cocktail stick is now all the way through all cogs. So hopefully I can just chase that through with this cog. Hopefully it'll go all the way through everything. Oh, slight alignment issues there. It was a great idea and it very nearly worked. You're watching a grown man struggle with an odometer. I hope you're pleased with yourselves. Aha, there we go. And a few taps with a love hammer. That's now struggling to go through, so I'm taking that as a good sign. Oh, God knows what my mileage is though. Oh dear, I think I've let my mileage dials get completely out of sync, but we'll see what happens. Right, so yeah, all my dials are completely out, so I'm going to have to try and reset these at some point, but for testing purposes, that still doesn't want to turn. Right, I've got this back together again, so I'm making sure my fingers aren't in the way. That seems to be working. All the numbers are lined up. It's not happy there. Okay, so we've got up to 8 miles and the mechanism is locked up. I think this top cog is out of sequence. And the top cog has different cogs on it of different shapes. I think it's out of sequence, so I'm going to have yet another play with the blooming thing. Oh, how much patience have I got to sit here clocking up miles until it jams up again? That one was a bit sticky as it brought the 2 in on the trip at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. It's the trip that is the problem. As the trip tries bringing on the next number in this bottom row, it's jamming up. I've wiggled it and it's fine again. Look how many miles my Skoda's clocking up. I don't know, it seems to be working absolutely fine. I'm just going to wait till the trip hits 100. Hey! I think I'm going to call that a success. So now all I've got to do is reassemble everything. I'll try and remember how I did that. This is the first time I've tried doing a detailed job with you there in this holder, so I apologise that I'm not showing everything very well at the moment. I'm having to try and keep an eye on the screen while I'm doing this. So I think stage 1 is probably going to be to reattach the screen face. Or does that go first? Because that's the pin for this speedometer needle to rest on, so that's got to go behind there. Yes, there we go. And then they've got a thread on past the reset knob. Oh! You almost forgot, I almost forgot. We've got to reconnect this, otherwise it won't work at all. So that is the drive cog from the speedo cable that drives the manometer around. Yes, I might just get a bit of grease for those because they were greased from the factory. They should probably be greased now. If you really want to know, this is how it all attaches. Just these two little slightly rusty screws. Very fiddly. Right, so that's the screws reattached, and you can see how it's illuminated from behind because you can see the daylight is shining through and making it glow green. Next challenge is to get the speedometer needle in the right place. But before I do that, I'm just going to wipe down the face just to get any dust and fingerprints off, or at least most of them. I want the needle resting on the stop at this point. There we go. Resting on the stop. The needle has got slightly bent through all this, but that's fine. That's not a biggie. Next stage is to reinstall it in the binnacle. So this is the binnacle itself. There's all the circuitry on the back, all the bulbs. So I replaced defective bulbs last time. And we slot this in here. And what holds the speedo in place is a big nut on the back. Just trying to be careful not to get too many icky prints on the speedo face there. So it's just this big nut on the back, and I think there's a washer. Yeah, shake-proof washer, because you don't really want your speedo coming undone while you're driving along. I believe that is considered undesirable. And then with a spanner that isn't quite the right size, just snug that up a bit. It hasn't got to be super tight, it's just got to be tight enough. There we go, we've got the speedometer back in place. And covered in grease. Well done, mate. And just to prove this is still the same one I worked on last time, look, it still says hub nut in the top. We've then got this finishing panel which just press fits over the top. Not actually sure what holds that in place, but must be some little clips somewhere. Okay, again just wiping the marks off because they'll be irritating once we've redone it. Now we can put the plastic tray on the front. And I realise this is where my spare screws ended up from last time. There are 3 screws down the bottom here which hold it on, and I forgot to refit those last time, so I'm just going to go and see if I can find them. Yes, they were still sitting on the windowsill from last time, so that's good. If only I had a battery powered thing. Brilliant. And the last thing to do is refit this trim piece, which has a piece of glass or plastic, which I'm guessing is to try and help diffuse the light around inside. Or maybe just stop it escaping out the top. Before it goes back in, I need to sort out the last 2CV road trip video, so I'm going to have to do some computer time before I can go and play with cars some more. But hey, that's it. It's all back together. It's once sellotaped, it will be ready to go, and hopefully this time the mileage will work. Fingers crossed. Right, I have some hub nut packages to send off, and so I'd better get the car back together. I do want to wash Ellie, but she's still frozen. It's now gone 11 o'clock in the morning, and gosh, it's quite bright in paradise today. Right, let's head into the garage and we'll see if we can get this instrument binnacle refitted. Right, refitting the binnacle is actually really easy. The main thing not to forget is you've got to screw this using this plastic nut, which is disappearing, onto the back of the speedometer, because that's the needle. Modern cars tend to use electronics because you'll have wheel sensors and things like that that actually judge how fast the car is travelling. So you can do it all electronically, but no, it's a good old cable here, which in some ways I prefer. It's nice and simple. We've got the pipes here as well. These pipes should have fluid in because they're linked to the headlamp adjustment mechanism, which is hydraulic. It uses a sort of oil to control it, but they always leak and stop working. And that might be coming into the MOT now, so I might have to remove that control lever and say, no, it hasn't got headlamp adjusters. Because it's one of those silly things. If the MOT says if something's fitted, it must work. And if it doesn't work, then that's a fail. But if you take the item off, in some cases, it's not a fail. It's a strange old world. But yeah, I'm not sure how you get those hydraulic systems working again. Anyway, I'm dithering. I've got postage to do. I need to rebuild my car. Done. Yeah, that all seems to work. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I haven't got the indicators on, but I can do the hazards. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. We shall go for a drive then. Well, my hat may be wonky and the numbers might be slightly wonky, but nonetheless they seem to be ticking over as they should. So maybe at the second attempt I've managed to get that job done. That would be very pleasing. One slight issue, I managed to bend the needle slightly. Yeah, it looks a bit wonky. I'm trying not to be affected by that, so I can't be bothered to take the whole thing apart again just to straighten the needle out. Little bit annoying, but hey, at least it's much more accurate now. Having tested it against sat-nav, the needle seems to be much better than it was after my first attempt, and the numbers are still ticking around, and that's good to see. So it's all good. I do like this car. Once I've done with today's chores, hopefully I can crack on with some bodywork refurbishment on this car. Although there's major news, the Matiz now has an MOT, so that's coming home as well. My to-do list is just getting bigger and bigger. So much for giving up a magazine and having more spare time, but that's my own silly fault for owning quite so many vehicles. I will continue to report back on this car, and like I say, there should be a video coming up on making it beautiful again, hopefully. So I shall say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell.